Alright, let's sleep. Pull the blankets up to your chin. Fluff your pillow. Turn off your phone and let the darkness settle around you like a soft, warm cloak. Tonight, we're going to travel back in time to a world that no longer exists, a world of crusaders and caliphs, of castles and cathedrals, of men who swore oaths of poverty and died richer than kings. We're going to tell the story of the Knights Templar, the warrior monks who began as 9 desperate men in a ruined city and ended as the most powerful and mysterious organization in medieval Europe. But before we get to the gold and the glory, the betrayal and the flames, we need to understand the world into which they were born, a world of faith and fear, of pilgrimage and peril, of a holy city that had been won and lost and won again. Part 1, The Holy City. The year is 1099. The place is Jerusalem. After centuries of Muslim rule, the city has just fallen to the armies of the First Crusade. The Christian knights, who had marched thousands of miles across Europe and Asia Minor, have finally achieved their goal. They have liberated the Holy Sepulchre, the tomb of Jesus Christ, from the hands of the infidels. But the victory is bittersweet. The city is in ruins. The streets are littered with the bodies of the dead, Muslims, Jews, and even some Christians who have been caught in the chaos. The Crusaders, exhausted and traumatized, do not know what to do next. They have won the city, but they cannot hold it alone. The Muslim armies are still out there, waiting for their chance to strike back. For the next 2 decades, the kingdom of Jerusalem hangs by a thread. The Crusader lords bicker among themselves, the Muslim forces regroup, and the pilgrims who come to visit the holy sites are frequently robbed, beaten, or killed on the road. The journey from the coast to Jerusalem is dangerous, the roads are infested with bandits, the countryside is hostile, and the distance is long. Something must be done. Someone must protect the pilgrims. Part 2, The 9 Knights. In the year 1119, a French knight named Hugh de Payens arrives in Jerusalem. He is not a wealthy man, not a powerful man, not a man of great influence. He is just a knight, a warrior who has taken religious vows, perhaps after the death of his wife. He has come to the Holy Land to fight for his faith, and he has brought with him 8 other knights, all of them equally poor, equally devout, and equally determined. These 9 men, Hugh de Payens and his companions, have a simple idea. They will form an order of warrior monks. They will swear oaths of poverty, chastity, and obedience. They will live as monks, praying and fasting, but they will also fight as knights, protecting the pilgrims who come to Jerusalem. They will be the shield of the faithful. It is a radical idea. Monks are not supposed to fight. Knights are not supposed to pray. But Hugh de Payens believes that the two can be combined, that a warrior can be holy, and a holy man can be a warrior. He takes his idea to King Baldwin II of Jerusalem, who is intrigued. Baldwin gives the 9 knights a place to stay, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is believed to be built on the ruins of the Temple of Solomon. The knights take the name, Poor Knights of the Temple of Solomon. They are the Templars. For 9 years, the Templars exist in obscurity. They are poor, they are few, and they are largely ignored. They patrol the roads of the Holy Land, protecting pilgrims, and they pray in their makeshift chapel in the temple. They are not famous, not rich, not powerful. They are just 9 men, doing what they believe is right. But all of that is about to change. Part 3, The Saint. In 1127, Hugh de Payens travels to Europe. He needs recruits, he needs money, and he needs the official recognition of the church. He goes to see Bernard of Clairvaux, the most influential churchman of his age, a man who is already being hailed as a living saint. Bernard is a Cistercian monk, a man of austere piety and immense intellectual power. He is also a brilliant writer and a master of propaganda. When Hugh de Payens tells him about the Templars, Bernard is captivated. He sees in the Templars a new model of Christian knighthood, a way to channel the violent impulses of the warrior class into the service of God. Bernard writes a letter in support of the Templars, praising them as a new kind of knighthood that fights not for earthly kingdoms, but for the kingdom of heaven. He also helps Hugh de Payens secure the official recognition of the Church. In 1129, at the Council of Clairvaux, the Templars are formally recognized as a religious order. They are given a rule, a set of laws that govern their lives, based on the rule of the Cistercian monks. They are also given a distinctive habit, a white robe, symbolizing purity, and later a red cross, symbolizing martyrdom. The Templars are no longer just 9 poor knights in Jerusalem. They are now an official order of the Church, with the Pope's blessing and the support of the most powerful man in Christendom. Part 4, The Rise. The Templars grow rapidly. Recruits pour in from all over Europe, knights who want to fight for God, younger sons who have no inheritance, adventurers who seek glory and fortune. The order expands beyond the Holy Land, establishing houses in France, England, Spain, Italy, and Germany. The Templars also receive generous donations. Kings, queens, nobles, and commoners give them land, money, and property. The Templars are exempt from taxes, and they can collect tithes from their lands. They become one of the wealthiest organizations in Europe. But the Templars are not just warriors and landowners. They are also bankers. Part 5, The Bankers of God. The Templars develop a banking system that is centuries ahead of its time. Pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land can deposit their money at a Templar house in Europe and withdraw it at a Templar house in Jerusalem. They are given a letter of credit, a piece of parchment that guarantees the value of their deposit. It is safe, it is secure, and it is revolutionary. The Templars also lend money. They lend to kings, to nobles, to merchants, to popes. They charge interest, though they call it something else, a gift, or a donation, to avoid the sin of usury. They become the bankers of Europe, the financiers of the Crusades, the creditors of Christendom. The Templars are now the most powerful financial institution in the medieval world. They have more money than most kings. They have more influence than most popes. They have become the power behind the thrones of Europe. Part 6, The Warriors. But the Templars are not just bankers. They are also warriors, and they are among the finest warriors in the world. The Templars are trained from a young age in the arts of war. They are experts in swordsmanship, horsemanship, and tactics. They wear the best armor, carry the best weapons, and ride the best horses. They are disciplined, fearless, and utterly ruthless. In battle, the Templars are a terrifying sight. They charge into the enemy lines with their white robes and red crosses, their banners flying, their swords flashing. They do not retreat. They do not surrender. They fight to the death. The Templars play a central role in the Crusades. They fight in the great battles of the 12th and 13th centuries, the sieges, the skirmishes, the desperate last stands. They are the shock troops of Christendom, the hammer of the infidels. But the Crusades are not going well. The Muslims, under the leadership of brilliant commanders like Saladin, are pushing back. In 1187, Jerusalem falls to Saladin. The Templars are devastated. They have lost their spiritual home, the city they were founded to protect. But they do not give up. They relocate to the coastal cities of the Holy Land, to Acre, to Tyre, to Tripoli. They continue to fight, continue to trade, continue to grow rich. Part 7, The Fall of Acre. In 1291, the last Christian stronghold in the Holy Land falls. The city of Acre, which has been the capital of the Crusader kingdom for a century, is besieged by the Mamluk Sultan of Egypt. The Templars fight to the last. They hold the city's fortress for days after the rest of the city has fallen, making a desperate last stand. But they are overwhelmed. The survivors are executed, and the Templars' headquarters in the Holy Land is destroyed. The Crusades are over. The dream of reclaiming Jerusalem is dead. The Templars have lost their reason for existence. But they are still powerful, still wealthy, still influential. They have houses all over Europe, vast estates, and a banking network that spans the continent. They have survived the loss of the Holy Land, and they are determined to survive whatever comes next. But what comes next is something they could never have predicted. Part 8, The King. Philip IV of France is not a happy man. He is handsome, he is intelligent, and he is utterly ruthless. He is also deeply in debt to the Templars. Philip owes the Templars a fortune. He has borrowed vast sums of money to fund his wars, his ambitions, and his extravagant lifestyle. He cannot pay them back, and he knows that the Templars will eventually call in their debt. Philip is also a man of immense ambition. He wants to be the most powerful king in Europe. He wants to unite France under his rule, to dominate the church, and to crush all opposition. The Templars are an obstacle. They are too powerful, too wealthy, and too independent. They answer to the Pope, not to the king. They have their own army, their own courts, their own laws. They are a state within a state. Philip decides to destroy them. Part 9, The Plot. Philip's plan is simple and brutal. He will accuse the Templars of heresy, the worst crime a Christian can commit. He will arrest them, torture them, and force them to confess. He will seize their property and use it to pay off his debt. But Philip needs the Pope's cooperation. The Templars are a religious order, and only the Pope can dissolve them. Philip's first move is to pressure Pope Clement V, a weak and indecisive man who is practically Philip's puppet. In 1307, Philip sends out secret orders to his officials across France. They are to arrest every Templar in the kingdom on a single day, Friday, October 13th. Part 10, The Arrests. On the morning of October 13, 1307, the Templars in France are taken by surprise. The king's agents burst into their houses, their castles, their commanderies. They are arrested, chained, and thrown into prison. The charges are shocking. The Templars are accused of denying Christ, of spitting on the cross, of worshipping idols, of performing obscene rituals. They are accused of heresy, of blasphemy, of sodomy. They are accused of everything that a medieval Christian could imagine. The Templars are tortured. They are stretched on the rack, burned with hot irons, starved, and beaten. Many of them confess, not because they are guilty, but because the pain is unbearable. The Grand Master of the Templars, Jacques de Molay, is also arrested. He is an old man, in his 60s, and he has led the order for more than a decade. Under torture, he confesses to the charges. He admits that the Templars have committed terrible sins, though his confession is clearly coerced. Part 11, The Trial. The trial of the Templars drags on for years. The Pope, under pressure from Philip, orders the arrest of Templars throughout Europe. Many are arrested, but others manage to escape. In England, the Templars are treated relatively leniently. In Spain, they are not arrested at all. In Germany, the Templars are allowed to defend themselves. But in France, the trial is a travesty. The Templars are not allowed to present a defense. Their confessions, extracted under torture, are used as evidence of their guilt. The Pope, Clement V, is torn between his duty to the Church and his fear of Philip. He eventually does what Philip wants, he dissolves the Templar order in 1312. The Templars' property is confiscated. Their wealth is transferred to the Hospitallers, another military order. But in France, much of it ends up in the king's treasury. Part 12, The Burning. On March 18, 1314, Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Templars, is brought before a tribunal in Paris. He is old, broken, and exhausted. He has spent 7 years in prison. He has been tortured, humiliated, and betrayed. The tribunal sentences him to life imprisonment. But Jacques de Molay has had enough. He stands up, and in a clear, strong voice, he renounces his confession. He declares that he is innocent, that the Templars are innocent, and that the charges against them are false. The judges are shocked. They immediately condemn de Molay to death, to be burned at the stake. That evening, Jacques de Molay is led to a small island in the Seine, in the shadow of the Notre Dame Cathedral. A pyre is lit, and de Molay is tied to the stake. As the flames rise around him, he prays. And then, according to legend, he speaks a curse. He curses Pope Clement V, King Philip IV, and their descendants. He calls them to appear before God within the year, to answer for their crimes. The legend says that his curse was fulfilled. Pope Clement V died a few months later, of a sudden illness. King Philip IV died a few months after that, in a hunting accident. And the French monarchy, which had seemed so powerful, soon fell into a decline that would lead to the 100 Years' War. Part 13, The Legacy. The Templars were gone, but they were not forgotten. Their story became a legend, a myth, a source of endless fascination. They were portrayed as heroes, as villains, as saints, as sinners. They were linked to the Holy Grail, to the Ark of the Covenant, to the secrets of the Freemasons. The Templars' banking system influenced the development of modern finance. Their military tactics influenced the development of modern warfare. Their discipline and organization influenced the development of modern institutions. And their destruction was a warning that no one, no matter how powerful, is safe from the whims of kings. Part 14, The Myths. Over the centuries, the Templars have become the subject of countless myths and conspiracy theories. They have been linked to the Knights of the Golden Circle, the Illuminati, and the Freemasons. They have been portrayed as the guardians of ancient secrets, the keepers of the Holy Grail, the protectors of the bloodline of Jesus Christ. Some of these myths are based on a kernel of truth. The Templars did have secret rituals, and they did guard their secrets closely. But most of the myths are pure fantasy, invented by later writers to sell books or to promote their own agendas. The real Templars were not mysterious occultists. They were warriors, monks, and bankers. They were men of their time, shaped by the beliefs and prejudices of their age. They were not perfect, but they were not the monsters that their enemies claimed. Part 15, The Lessons. What can we learn from the story of the Templars? First, power corrupts. The Templars began as poor knights, dedicated to protecting pilgrims. But as they grew rich and powerful, they lost sight of their original mission. They became bankers, landlords, and politicians. They forgot that they were supposed to be poor. Second, enemies are everywhere. The Templars had many enemies, the Muslims, the kings, the popes, and the common people. They were resented for their wealth, feared for their power, and hated for their secrecy. In the end, their enemies destroyed them. Third, justice is not always served. The Templars were innocent of the charges against them. But they were tried, convicted, and executed anyway. Their trial was a travesty of justice, a show trial designed to serve the interests of the king. Fourth, legends are powerful. The Templars are more famous today than they ever were in their heyday. Their story has been told and retold for centuries, and it has taken on a life of its own. The truth about the Templars is fascinating enough. We do not need to invent myths to make it interesting. And finally, nothing lasts forever. The Templars were one of the most powerful organizations in medieval Europe. They had wealth, influence, and the backing of the Pope. But they were destroyed in a single day, Friday, October 13, 1307. Their fall is a reminder that even the mightiest can be brought low. Part 16, The Dream. Now, as you drift off to sleep, think about the Templars. Imagine the 9 poor knights, huddled in their makeshift chapel in the Temple of Solomon. Imagine them riding out to protect the pilgrims, their white robes fluttering in the desert wind. Imagine them growing in power, building castles, accumulating wealth. Imagine them fighting in the Crusades, charging into battle with their red crosses, their swords flashing. Imagine them banking the money of kings, lending to popes, shaping the destiny of Europe. Imagine the fall, the dawn raids, the arrests, the tortures, the confessions. Imagine Jacques de Molay, old and broken, standing up in his trial to declare his innocence. Imagine the flames rising around him, his curse echoing in the night. And then imagine the legacy, the myths, the legends, the secrets. Imagine the Templars living on in the stories we tell, in the symbols we use, in the mysteries we ponder. Part 17, A Final Reflection. Tonight, as you lie in your warm bed, in your safe home, surrounded by the people you love, think about the men who lived and died for their faith. Think about their courage, their ambition, their mistakes. Think about their rise and their fall, their glory and their shame. The Templars were not saints. They were not demons. They were human beings, like us, shaped by their time and their circumstances. They did great things, and they did terrible things. They built an empire, and they lost it all. But they also left us a legacy of faith, of courage, of ambition, and of warning. They remind us that power is fleeting, that justice is fragile, and that even the mightiest can fall. So sleep well. Sleep deeply. And may your dreams be filled with the sound of swords, the sight of white robes, and the hope that, even in the darkest times, the truth will eventually come out. Good night.